I will now demonstrate how to tie surgical knots using fixed string. While this does not feel like tying with sutures, it does give you an understanding of how surgical knots are constructed. I will show you how to both hand and instrument tie knots. When hand tying knots, you use the one-handed technique, as in real life the other end of the suture has a needle attached to it that you don't want to pull through any loops whilst tying. And as you would be holding the needle holder in your dominant hand, you actually tie the knot using your non-dominant hand. I will hence use my left hand. You need to alternate between two knots. It doesn't really matter which one you start with, but to make it easier, always start with the same one. While learning, it is easiest to assign the two ends of the string or suture a side. Either at the top or the bottom, your aim is to cross them over with each throw you make. So pick up the top end with your left, non-dominant hand and point the tip downwards, i.e. the direction you are aiming to get to. Hold it between your thumb and ring finger while hooking it with your index. Now pick up the other end with your right hand and lay it parallel but in the opposite direction than the end in your left hand, across your index finger. Now hook backwards under the dark green end to create a loop. You then pull this through the middle of the two ends by twisting your wrist. Pick the loop up on the other side using your middle and index finger. Let go of the end and pull it through. Make sure you cross your hands when tightening the through to ensure it is adequately positioned. Let's show that again in slow motion and practice with a string or a shoelace. If you are left-handed, it is exactly the same, but using your right hand. For the second throw, keep hold of the two ends using the same hands. So the bottom end is now in your left hand and the top one is in your right. As before, your aim is to cross the ends over. You start by pointing the bottom end towards the direction it's heading. This time, you'll hold the string between your thumb and index finger. The middle finger is doing the hooking this time, in the same way the index finger did before. Twist your wrist to pull the loop between the two ends, then grasp it between your middle and ring finger. Let go of the end and pull it all the way through. Again, remember to cross your hands when laying down the throw. Let's have another look at this in slow motion. You should now have a reef knot that looks like this. By alternating the two throws, you will create a secure knot. The number of throws needed is dependent on the suture material used, the tissue sutured, and the situation you are in.